Hello everybody, it is Saturday the 5th of February. I want to talk one more time about the microchip, the mark of the beast, and what it actually works. So let's say we are going through this evolution at the moment to a greater awareness, which means that, and so many people are already doing it, yeah? You have got the synchronicities. We are more and more sensing there's something else that we are connected to. There's the talk about the field. I've actually heard on spiritual channels people saying that they have already gotten into contact with other people whilst in meditation. So I would say connecting with people that were on the same wavelengths, literally on the same wavelengths as themselves. So where we're saying like mobile phones and stuff like that, they are just an outside image of our own true capabilities. So we are now on a path where we are becoming aware of those capabilities within ourselves. Now, what is driving this evolution? In nature, it would be environmental pressure. A change in the environment, which is happening all the time, that would force an organism to change in order to survive. Now, humanity is pretty much producing its own pressure. If we are capable of independent thought, we are creating our environment to a large extent, so we are creating our own pressures. You could say we're the most intelligent being here, or we're the dumbest being here, because we are the only ones that make this whole thing a lot harder than it needs to be. But if there are those that know that understand this, then what is happening at the moment is they are applying pressure in our environment. That is, we're running out of money, we're running out of energy, gas, etc., or we can no longer afford it. They're taking down the social structures. So they are, and of course on the natural level, because part of us is connected to nature, they're telling us, that there's climate chaos. So both on a natural level, they're telling us that's going belly up, and then on our own controlled environment, they're putting pressure on. At the same time, we are being directed. We are very much being directed as to where this change within us should go. That thought is being put into our heads, and that's why the spiritualists and everybody else is allowed to go forward at the moment so much. The thought of the field, the thought of endless possibilities, the thought that we can connect with that field to gain knowledge, the spiritual way. So that's what's happening there. Putting pressure on us. At the same time, they're putting an idea into our head as to how we are evolving, in which way we are evolving. Of course, if this were to happen, if this would work, which it might, and we were becoming aware of this capability which already exists within us, that we are connecting to this field of all possibilities, then of course we would be free. We could manifest our own future. We could manifest what it is that we need. So whilst they want us to have these capabilities to serve them, they must of course control it. They must have control as what it is we access. And that is where the microchip comes in. Now, I heard David Icke tell a story which was actually very poignant. And that is that a man was hypnotized at a party. And the hypnotist told him that when he wakes up, he would not be able to see his daughter. So the man woke up and the daughter was stood right in front of him, and he didn't see her. In fact, he could see things that were behind his daughter, but he couldn't see his daughter. So at that moment, the man obviously had not lost his natural ability to see his daughter. But something in the program was changed to say that he could not, well, David Icke was quite right, he said he could not decode the energy of his daughter. So there's how we can be suggested to what it is we can and cannot see. And that is what the chip does. See, you have the natural ability to do it, but they say, well, no, it's not your natural ability, it's the chip that is doing it. And then through the chip, they can tell you what it is you can and cannot see, what it is you can and cannot connect to, because it's not you doing it, it's a chip. Believe on the chip, not on yourself. That is what it's there for. It's a method, not controlling as in the chip is connecting you to everything. It is telling you what you can connect to. You are actually doing it. Now, if you look at the book of Revelation, and I said so many times before, there are two sides at war with each other, and neither of them is good. They're both the will to have dominion, both of them. Sorry. So what happens if the chip fails? There will be those, obviously, that took the mark of the beast and believed on it. But there are others that won't. So in comes God, yeah? In comes God and it does battle with the beast and destroys it. And then he gives us of his knowledge freely, of his knowledge. So he tells us what we can see and cannot see, how things are. He's doing exactly the same thing as the chip is doing. But what is happening is that we're being sheep-herded to one side, and then once we know that we are enslaved on that side, we're being driven all the way the other side. Again, nobody stops in the middle. It is both control, one through a device, a symbol, an idol that you believe in, and the other is through the word. But it's both control. And here is the thing, if we are going through this evolution, we must believe on ourselves. We must know it is us. That is how they have controlled us all the time. Because our belief must go through something else, through something outside of us. It's not us. It's God doing it. We believe on God, and then it happens. Whereas we could straight up say, it will happen. I am that I am, it will happen. And we don't do that. We must go through something else because we know that we are nothing. Therefore, there must be something greater than us doing it. So if we get this together, if we start seeing that it is us, it is actually us, not something outside of us that is doing this, then what should control it? Because there need to be boundaries. It cannot be a free-for-all. It cannot be. That would be utter chaos. As I said, we would go to a higher level, and if we're doing wrong now, we're going to be doing wrong on speed. So what should control? What should set the boundaries as to where we can go with this thing? And that is our conscience. That is our knowledge of good and evil. And to an extent, that is the 10 Commandments, because that is the law of our conscience. that is then the moment where we grow up and take responsibility ourselves, not go by what we're being told and he will make righteous whatever it is we're doing because it is his will, but going by our own knowledge of good and evil, by our own conscience, and set ourselves. I said, boundaries, you are being set boundaries, or you set boundaries for a small child, because they are not yet capable of taking responsibility. They don't have the knowledge of danger. They don't have actually, they don't have actually a knowledge of good and evil. It is society that should teach them that. So that is why you set a small child boundaries. But if you are a grown-up, does not mean I can now do whatever I want. It means you are capable of setting your own boundaries. You can take responsibility. So are we now at a stage where we can take responsibility for ourselves? And in the end, that is every individual for himself. In the first instance, we must take responsibility ourselves, and then we must teach that to our children, our knowledge of good and evil, the law of our conscience, so that they grow up with those boundaries. And then this could be a beautiful world. And we could have these capabilities, and we can use them. We do not need to be ruled over. Anyway, I think I leave it at that, and I talk to you again soon. Bye.